Greetings, everyone. My name is Kayla Quarles, and I am the training coordinator for the IDEA Data and Research Office. This presentation covers the special education data reporting requirements of cycles 2, 4, and 7 for early childhood within the new fiscal year. Cycle 2 in October is for purposes of reporting active special ed students receiving child nutrition and is only for school districts and pertains to students served on campuses through a district's preschool. Cycle 4 includes personnel and active students or child count on December 1. Cycle 7 covers referral tracking, exits, kindergarten transitions, and outcomes. User guides and data dictionaries are also available for download from the website or from the support tab in MySpent. The slide above gives you those URLs that you can follow. Cycle 7 includes all referrals for the fiscal year, exits on students between ages 14 through 21, all CEIS data and discipline, which is reports that are obtained from student management. All new referrals for the fiscal year are reported. The fiscal year begins on July 1 of the fall semester and ends June 30th of the spring semester. Make sure that all dates are sequential and in chronological order, meeting the required timelines. Remember that you have 60 calendar days from the day the parent gives consent to complete the evaluation and that the evaluation date is the date the last test is given. In addition, you have 30 calendar days from the evaluation date to the eligibility determination date or the evaluation conference. Remember that those days are calendar days rather than business days, meaning that weekends and holidays count as a part of the 60 and 30-day time frames. Also be aware of those months that contain 31 days because you may become out of timelines by one day or two. In reporting all new referrals for the fiscal year, some clarification is needed as to what constitutes a student being added into referral tracking. All referrals being entered should be recorded in the fiscal year they were started in. It is important to remember that even if the student is not placed for services or if the decision at the referral conference is not to test, the referral should be reported regardless of the outcome. However, a student is not entered into referral tracking if they currently have an IEP and are receiving services. So students who are receiving services but need additional testing are not considered a new referral. Students who come from another school district with an IEP are transfer students and also are not placed into referral tracking. The following fields are pulled from demographics for referral tracking. Under SMS, the Social Security number, grade, name, birth date, gender, ELL, race, and building code. Under the referral module, the resident LEA, if the student attends a private school, and the name of the private school. These are the fields that you must fill out in the referral tracking module. Please remember when completing this module to make sure you follow timeline dates as instructed. In addition, please make sure you adhere to the dates in which evaluations being completed and determined. For example, according to state regulatory timelines, the number of days between a parent's consent and the evaluation completion date cannot exceed 60 days. Also, once the evaluations have been completed, the LEA has 30 days to make a determination. Please make a special note here. If you happen to finish the evaluation on the 25th day out of the 60-day timeline period, once finished, the timeline has ended and your 30 days begins immediately. Make sure you remember to keep an accurate count on the days during this process so you will not fall into this category. These are the fields that you must fill out in the referral tracking module. Please remember when completing this module to make sure you follow timeline dates as instructed. In addition, please make sure you adhere to the dates in which evaluations being completed and determined. For example, according to state regulatory timelines, the number of days between a parent's consent and the evaluation completion date cannot exceed 60 days. Also, once the evaluations have been completed, the LEA has 30 days to make a determination. Please make a special note here. If you happen to finish the evaluation on the 25th day out of the 60-day timeline period, once finished, the timeline has ended and your 30 days begins immediately. Make sure you remember to keep an accurate count on the days during this process so you will not fall into this category. Remember the definitions of these two fields, and these definitions can be found in the Referral Tracking Data Dictionary located in the IDEA Data and Research website, as well as the Special Education website menu. Transition Part C to B is when a student is being transitioned from a Part C IDEA program to a Part B Early Childhood program. Part C and B concurrent indicates the child was determined to be eligible for early intervention services under Part C less than 90 days before the child's third birthday. The child is simultaneously referred to your Part B program. The items on the next screen are only addressed if the answer to one of the items on this screen is yes. Otherwise, the answers on the items to the next screen will automatically be no. If the answer is yes to the Part C to B transition or the C and B concurrent questions, and the referral to your program has exceeded the child's third birthday, you must indicate the reason for exceeding the date the child turns 3 during the referral process. If one of the supplied reasons does not explain why the child's third birthday was exceeded by the referral process, you may use the code for other in writing the reason for exceeding the child's third birthday. You must also indicate if the child has been temporarily placed in order to receive services while the referral process is completed. Here are the codes and reasons that are used for exceeding the 60 and 30-day timelines. Be aware that the use of the code EV is indicating your program is responsible for delaying the referral and result in an automatic hit for being out of compliance. If one of these codes is not appropriate, there is an option for OT, other, where you can then write in the reason the referral is past timelines. However, there are some reasons that you will also be found out of compliance for. Those are holidays, an examiner, maternity leave. These are all not valid reasons because they are known conditions when the referral was started. Arrangements should be made in these situations to make sure the referral is not out of compliance. Summer vacation is also not a valid reason because there is no exception for delaying a referral once it has been made. Waiting on a doctor's report is also not a valid reason if the report is from a hearing or vision issue, since there is already a code for that reason. If it is because of a different kind of doctor, please indicate that when writing in the other reason. Be sure to use the codes available rather than using the other option when the codes available are appropriate. Here is an actual screenshot of the Early Childhood Referral Tracking module. The following fields must be completed during the referral tracking process. Transfer to Part C and B concurrent, the referral date, the parent consent to evaluate date, evaluation reason for missing the deadline, the evaluation other reason. Make sure you specify if the evaluation reason is not listed in the drop-down menu. Also, the eligibility determination date, the EDD 30-day code, and the EDD other reason for not adhering to the 30-day code, the EDD third date of birth code, and the EDD third other reason. The temporary IEP third birthday should be checked if it applies. SPED placement should be checked if it applies. The parent consent to place date, the referral complete reason, the completion other if it's not in the drop-down box listed, and lastly, the referral complete. If you're going to complete your referral, go ahead and check that box. Here are the appropriate exit codes for early childhood. In eSchool, exit codes for all programs are through the school age, CEIS, and early childhood, which are all located in the same drop down menu. Be sure you are using one of these codes by looking for the early childhood code inside of the parentheses next to the exit reason. You can also find a list of the appropriate exit codes for early childhood in the data dictionary located on the IDEA Data and Research ArcSped website. Be sure that all information has been entered for all children transitioning to kindergarten, including the transition code, the transition conference date, and LEA number with whom the kindergarten conference was held. Make sure that the entry outcome assessment dates and scores for the three outcome areas are entered for all children. This should be the original assessment date and scores from when the child was referred. Assessments 1 and 2 are not required, but exit outcome scores and indication of improvement is for the exit codes of KE, NS, MA, and PR. Remember that when indicating whether or not the child has made improvement, there is a difference between numerical changes and chronological growth. While an outcome score may remain the same at the time of the exit as it was at the time of the entry, the child must be able to do more as they age. Additionally, partial improvement in the child's goals is still improvement, so that while we wish to see an increase in outcome scores, the indication of improvement is not necessarily referring to the change in numbers in the child's outcome scores. A child is kindergarten eligible if they are going to kindergarten in the fall, and your recommendation is that they continue with services at the school age level. Alternatively, the parents may seek a kindergarten waiver for the child to remain at the early childhood level until their third birthday. In order for the child to have an exit code of KE, meaning they are kindergarten eligible, and also have a transition code of NS, the school district, or more likely the parents, have indicated the will not to receive services at the school age level, in which case the parents must complete a revocation form that will be in the child's school age folder. If your determination is that the child no longer needs services, you must complete all required exit testing, and the exit code would be NS, not KE. This section of the presentation will cover Cycle 7 review for the early childhood students. All data for Cycle 7, including referral tracking, exits, outcomes, must be submitted by June 15th. You will then have the month of September to review what has been pulled for Cycle 7 in the MySped resource application, accessible through the Special Ed website. There is a procedures manual, mostly in bullet point format, to aid you in making sure you have reviewed all areas and addressed all errors. Please take advantage of the opportunity to review your data for the following reasons. You want to make sure that everything you have submitted has been submitted and pulled correctly. You want to check for typos, number reversals, all dates, codes, and fields are corrected and have transferred correctly. You also have the opportunity to update records or add data that should be reported as a part of Cycle 7 since the submission date of June 15th during the review period in the month of September. Remember, this multiple computer program and applications allow you to check and make sure that there are no issues that have occurred with data submission. Be sure to check all of your error reports, even those that may not apply to your district, including early childhood and coordinated early intervening services. Here are some of, but not all of the questions you can ask yourself in reviewing your referral tracking data. Please pay extra attention to birth dates and social security numbers, as numbers often get accidentally added, substituted, or reversed. Additionally, the field indicating why the referral is complete and the field that closes the referral are two of the referral tracking fields that are frequently incomplete. If your program did not have any referrals during the fiscal year, don't forget to send an email to Dr. Fields with your LEA number indicating that you had no new referrals during the fiscal year. Finally, remember that the error reports provided for you in the MySped application are not all of the possible errors in your data and do not cover every field that you are responsible for. Here are some of the suggested areas that you should review and questions you can ask yourself when review exits and outcomes. Entry and exit outcome scores, plus indicating if improvement has or has not been made in an area in which there are frequent errors. So please review outcomes carefully. Remember that the only entry outcome scores should be the initial set of outcome scores obtained during the referral process, and exit outcome scores are only entered when the exit code is NS, PR, MA, or KE. For students who are exiting to kindergarten, please be sure to check for kindergarten conferencing information. Remember that there are two separate error report links. One is for exits and kindergarten conferences, and the other one that addresses the outcomes. And again, the error reports in MySped application do not address every field of data that needs to be accurate, but only the fields needed at this time for federal reporting. In eSchool or MySped, you have the opportunity to use the discipline module to track and document behavior issues. This is important for two reasons. First, when the child is ready to go to kindergarten, you can give the school district a detailed account of the amount, severity, and kind of behavior issues a particular child is having. Secondly, documenting issues in the behavior module will help to indicate the lack of services provided when a child is expelled from one daycare or program and the parents have to enroll the child someplace else. If you wish to use either discipline module, contact Carmen Jordan or your eSchool administrator to use the eSchool discipline module or Dr. Fields to use the MySped discipline section. Remember that family surveys are due by June 30th. Family surveys collected after June 30th are added to next fiscal year's reporting. Surveys can be submitted online if you prefer not paying for postage. You must request surveys by email containing the information on the screen. Photocopied surveys cannot be scanned and will be returned to the district. Frequently, family surveys are submitted to our office incomplete and out of compliance. To avoid this, please pay careful attention before submitting. Here are some common errors and other things you need to be aware of as you enter your data and review your data for submission. Be aware that when the pool is made for submission, if there are errors in your data, you will be required to correct those errors before the pool can be submitted. If your cycle submission person makes you aware of your errors, then you must correct them prior to submitting. Be sure to inform the cycle submission person that the pool must be rebuilt prior to submission. Be sure to check all Social Security numbers and match them against the Social Security cards to avoid errors. If you have students who did not return for the fiscal year, the withdrawal date needs to be the last day of school term, rather than having an exit date during the school term. Remember, those areas that are commonly contain errors such as birth dates, socials, and referrals, they need to be closed out and have a reason for referrals being completed. If you do not have an SLP, an OT, or a PT who are district employees, then you should have a contract one with the district to find information completed with an FTE of 1 to show that you have such individuals contracted, should the district need their services. Also, be sure that you are using the appropriate exit codes, as all exit codes present in each withdrawal drop-down menu. Finally, joining the eSchool, TAC, or HAC portal may be helpful for following errors and questions and also other issues submitted by peers who also work on eSchool. Thank you for joining today's presentation. My name is Kayla Quarles, and if you have any questions, I can be reached in the Data and Research Office at 501-916-3219 or by email at kpquarles@ualr.edu. Thank you.